everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, August 14th, 2022. I'm so excited that Chelsea's maternity is finally coming up. I love it when there are little storyline nuggets that just marinate in the background for years with absolutely no one but the fans actually talking about them, actually acknowledging them. And then, boom, one day it's just there in the foreground, a major plot point born. It kind of reminds me of when Lily's paternity was in question for all of those years. We all speculated about it. We all kind of knew Malcolm was probably her father. And then just out of nowhere, wow, it's a story now. And I kind of think that that's what will end up happening with baby Dominic and Devon in the future, though, too. So even though at the time the baby Dominic paternity question was a little like, what's up with that? It's Y&R planting the seed for future story. And I feel so lucky that we're actually here seeing the first little sprouts of a story from the past kind of coming up. Johnny was born in 2012, so it's been a good long decade of the fans kind of speculating that Chelsea would start asking for time with her biological son. And I really remember at the time that it was all going down that we all were saying this is just too good to be true for Victoria and Billy just getting to raise Johnny. Chelsea just handed the kid over. Surely she's going to change her mind and sue them for custody any scene now. But she never did. That never happened. Chelsea admitted that she had conned Billy. She'd kind of conned the rich guy into sleeping with her in Myanmar, and then she showed up in Genoa City pregnant. I think that was when the character first came onto the show. She just showed up pregnant with Billy's baby, and Billy and Victoria tried to appease her for a while. I have fond memories of Chelsea staying in the apartment above their garage. They were trying to take care of her while she was pregnant with Billy's baby, and yet it was really rocking the world, and Chelsea still wanted Billy. She wanted to get her hooks into him. But ultimately, Chelsea came to the conclusion that Victoria and Billy should raise Johnny by themselves, and she completely stepped away. She felt like she wanted to give Johnny a better life than the one that she had had. The life of a con artist. But now Chelsea is totally changed. She is just not that person anymore. Oh. So, here we are. Maybe it is time to finally tell Johnny the truth about his biological mother. Maybe it is time to let Chelsea and Johnny start spending some quality time together. What do you think, chatters? That is our poll question for the week. Should Victoria and Billy let Chelsea have a relationship with Johnny right here, right now? Tell the kid the truth and start facilitating that relationship. YRChat.com if you want to cast your vote. My vote is going to yes. I think Billy and Victoria definitely should bring Chelsea into the picture now. I'm actually completely convinced of it, in fact. When Chelsea made her pitch to Billy about it all on Friday, I started out not being on her side. But by the end, after listening to her, I found myself completely on her side. Especially because she made this really great point about how Connor and Johnny can start bonding as brothers right now. I mean, she put it as if it's almost not even as much about her, but Johnny needs to be told the truth, because then he will realize that he has a half brother, and then Johnny and Connor can start to bond, and that's a bond that they both can benefit from throughout their lives, starting right now. Why not starting right now? I was surprisingly totally sold. Oh, but I do wonder if Victoria's going to see it a completely different way. I mean, if Victoria and Billy were to just agree to what Chelsea is asking, there would be no storyline conflict whatsoever. And we can't have that. So I'm thinking that instead Victoria is going to have to start working through her process of accepting this. I think she is going to dislike it at first. I think she's going to push it away, and it's going to be a big fight, but then ultimately she is going to work towards acceptance, because Victoria can't change the facts. Chelsea is Johnny's biological mother, and Johnny is going to want, in fact, he's going to need at some point, I imagine, to know that information someday. So maybe today is the day to do it. How old is Johnny? I don't know, but maybe now's the time. I can really see how that will be difficult for Victoria, and maybe that will be an opportunity to let us kind of back on the inside of Victoria, maybe show some softness with her and with, her motherhood. I think that probably the situation that Victoria and Billy are going to find themselves in is very, very common. It's something that a lot of adoptive parents have to eventually grapple with. How do I incorporate the biological parent into the child's life? Do I incorporate? So, I mean, it's a storyline that I think has potential to be really relatable. Although then again, Johnny's biological parent is a former con artist / oopsie almost murderer. Poisoner. So, I could see where there could be some hesitation. I mean, she is only, a couple of months out of the mental institution? There's arguments to be made on both sides. That's why you guys gotta go vote in the poll. Oh, I tell ya, I really think that the person who needs to be worried about Chelsea right now is not so much Victoria or Billy. It's Lily. Chelsea is spending a whole lot of quality time with Billy right now. And Chelsea is going deep with him. She knows that she is poking the sore spot of him kind of feeling on the outside of the gang at Chancellor Winters, and always kind of feeling on the outside of the corporate atmosphere and lifestyle, that it doesn't really fit him, doesn't really suit him. So I think Chelsea knows exactly what she's doing, and then she is presenting herself and their podcast as the solution to the problem, the saving grace. Chelsea is both poking at Billy's insecurities and feeding his ego at the same time. Chelsea is doing to Billy exactly what Imani has been doing to Nate. I am so impressed with Elena for calling Nate out. Because when you have this ungodly hot boyfriend, it would be really easy to just sweep everything under the rug and do everything you can to just hold on to him, even if that means saying nothing and looking the other way. But Elena did not do that. Elena stood her ground. She saw right through to the truth of what happened what did not happen between Imani and Nate and Sally with the whole so-called business meeting that they were supposed to have. Nate and Elena ran into Sally at Society, and they mentioned the canceled meeting, and when it was clear that Sally did not know anything about it, it became immediately clear to Elena that the whole thing was a setup by Imani to just get some alone time with Nate. Now, Elena tells Nate about it. She lays it all out for him, and Nate did not want to believe that. Nate sees Imani as a friend, and probably more importantly, as a work ally. Nate sees Imani as someone who's on his side. So Elena had to really spell it out for him, and she did not pull any punches. She said, "Look, Nate, you have got a beautiful woman over here in Imani stroking your ego, telling you everything that you want to hear. And I think the only reason that you think that I'm wrong about Imani is because you're liking her story better than mine. You're liking the story that she's spinning where you're the victim. You're the misunderstood one. You're the one who's being held back by Devon. It's all Devon being unreasonable." And Nate, I think he did pretty good dancing around it, because you could tell he didn't want to offend Elena, but he just completely didn't agree with her. But he got mad, and he did kind of accuse Elena of siding with Devon more than him, which really, we know as the viewers, couldn't be further from the truth. Elena actually went to Devon this week, and she was trying to smooth things out between those two. She knows that things have been tense, and she just wanted to try to find a meeting of the minds, a middle point. And I thought that Elena handled that situation with Devon very, very well. She was very careful of Devon's position, trying to respect him, but she also did go to bat for Nate's autonomy. In fact, Elena told Devon on Wednesday the exact same thing that Nate argued to her on Friday, that being the chief of surgery is an administrative position. It was a lot like running a business. Nate didn't just fall off the turnip truck yesterday. He has experience. But it's not the same. It's not exactly the same relevant experience. I think Devon is also right in that it's not the same. It's not the same thing. I think Devon has more relevant business experience than Nate, or than Lily, frankly, who went from being a model to running a modeling agency to going to prison and then boom, CEO. But everybody's got a perspective here, and that's why I'm really excited about this storyline. Like I said last week, I think that Devon should be the one mentoring Nate. I mean, maybe it's unorthodox for a CEO to be mentoring the COO, but it's also unorthodox for you to hire your cousin to be your COO of a major corporate company, just based on the qualifications that he's your cousin. Yeah, I hired my cousin to be my COO. It's a little backwards. Oh, but it's so excellent for juicy storyline potential. I mean, the not so subtle tension between Nate and Devon just totally reminds me of the relationship that Neil and Malcolm had back in the day. I mean, Malcolm had that swag and that creativity, kind of like we're starting to see from Nate. And Neil was much more careful and conservative, like we've seen from Devon. So I'm actually really, really pleased that Y&R is building something sort of similar to that retro storyline, and there's a lot of current unresolved issues between the two guys that makes for good play up to and including the previews for next week where Devon is getting hot-headed with Nate, and Nate says, "What are you gonna do, Devon? Punch me again?" Oh, I can't wait to see that. And I can't wait to see what's gonna go down with Elena and Imani now, because like Olivia and Drew, Elena and Imani are so different. Elena is a peacekeeper and Imani is a pot stirrer. So it's going to be really interesting to see those two coming face to face. It's going to be interesting to see how Nate proceeds in his relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, business association with Imani. And I just can't wait to see what Imani's going to say, knowing that her little plan became exposed. I mean, she's going to have some kind of way to spin it because Imani is always on. Imani is constantly affirming to Nate that he should feel slighted here. And she is probably going to use that exact same strategy now. She's probably going to try to make Nate feel slighted by Elena. Yeah. That's gonna be good. I can't wait for this. Ooh, this has gotten so good. The only thing more I can ask for is, please, Y&R, give Imani a friend to talk to. I'm begging you. If you don't give Imani a friend soon, the viewers are going to completely turn off of her forever and they will never turn back around. I think Imani's in a great position to give us some drama, but we also need to be able to see her human side a little bit. That's why I think she needs to be friends with Diane. Diane is the perfect candidate. If Phyllis is friends with Amanda, then Imani should be friends with Diane. It's the perfect match. And speaking of Amanda, has anyone else started to notice that Amanda and Imani are never in town, never on screen at the same time anymore? I mean, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm starting to think that those two might be the same person. Is there any chance that Abby and Chance's relationship somehow will not survive the aftermath of the Ashland Locke's death investigation? I mean, I know everything seems smoothed out, but I couldn't help but notice the Abby Devon love fest that was going on this week. I mean, it was just one short, sneaky little scene, but I think maybe it was put there to drive us viewers wild with speculation. Aww. Abby is always the last one to know everything. Even Adam knew what was going on with the Ashland Locke murder investigation before she did. How humiliating when even Adam's in on the loop, the family loop, and you're not. Oh, well, I guess I call it a murder investigation. Is it? No, it's an obstruction investigation, I guess. I don't know. But Abby confronted Chance about it, begged for information, and for a second there, I really thought that she was going to ask him to back off. But I actually really appreciate that she didn't do that. I love that Abby realized that she did not want to put her husband into the position of having to choose between his family or his job. She knows what both of those things mean to him, and she respected his desire to want to follow the truth. Oh, Chance actually confronted Victor this week about his involvement in Ashland's death, which I thought was a bold move. Chance went to Nick and Victoria first, probably hoping that they would rat Victor out and then he wouldn't have to confront his father-in-law, aka Zeus, aka the most powerful man in the universe. But Nick and Victoria did not budge, so Chance drove all the way out to the ranch. He was probably chewing on his fingernails in the car before he had to get out, but he did it. He went inside, he sat down with Victor, and he didn't flinch. I kind of respect that. Chance said, all right, Victor, you're family. I respect you, but I am not going to let this go. It's like Victor is family above all else, and his version of what's best for the family above all else. Chance is truth above all else. And Chance also told Sharon that part of the reason he is being so relentless about this investigation is because he wants to treat all of his cases from here on out the way that Ray would have treated them. I am sure that made Sharon feel extra guilty, considering the fact that she knows the truth about what happened, and she's keeping that secret for Nick. Yes, there are a lot of clandestine coffee house meetings going on between Sharon and Nick right now. Sharon has no problem hanging out the closed sign, even though the neon open sign is still on. with Adam peering through the window. What's up with that? What was up with that scene? I expected that seeing Adam on the outside of the coffee house, looking in on Nick and Sharon, was going to roll into something the next episode, but it didn't. What was Adam thinking? That's what I want to know. What was going through Adam's head in that moment? Was he thinking, oh, well, surely if they're in there conspiring during the day, then Nick must know something that I don't know? Or was he thinking, oh, I still love Sharon? I just don't know. Maybe Adam was just feeling on the outside, literally locked out from the information that is going on in the family. But he is working on a way to get back in. He wants to get back in to the inside. Adam actually told Chance that he is willing to be the inside man on the investigation against Victor now. Oh, Adam wants to bring the information that will bring Victor Newman down. Jack and Tracy were so adorable, rooting for Harrison and his soccer game from like a mile away from the field. Oh, I gotta give Y&R props for that scene. It was a cute, small scene. I think both of the actors really sold it, despite the fact that obviously we're not going to get a soccer field set. There's a limited amount of things they can do there, but the actors really sold it, to me anyway. I could kind of almost see Harrison's curly hair bouncing around out there on the field. Aww. Jack has made and become such a really good grandpa. And it almost makes up for how totally absent of a father he was for his two sons. That's right, I said two. Chemo, the wayward son, is still out there somewhere, wandering the world, pondering his next move. I'll never not believe it. Oh, well, maybe Jack can make up for some of his absent parenting by being the dad that Adam never had. Oh, I am just so totally impressed with the fact that the writers have come up with this. Adam working at Jabot, that never would have occurred to me in a million years, and yet it is so completely obvious and so totally perfect. I love it. I hope Adam says yes. Please, Adam, say yes. The fact that he's even thinking about it tells me that he's going to say yes, and I love it. I feel great about it, because I was also feeling so bitter about Kyle abandoning his post as the co-CEO of Jabot to go work at Marchetti. But now I realize that this leaves room for something even better. Adam in charge at Jabot, driving Billy crazy. And it's probably also, bonus, really gonna tick Victor off. Nikki was sort of mildly furious that Victor didn't tell her the truth about Ashlyn's death. But it was not so much that he did it, that he moved a dead body and then staged it to look like an accident, but she was more mildly furious that he didn't tell her about it. That's sort of Nikki's demeanor. Mildly everything. She also mildly told Abby that Chance should back off of this investigation. I mean, what's there to investigate? Said Abby. And Nikki kind of mildly told Phyllis that she doesn't trust that Phyllis will even follow through with the destroy Diane plan. So it looks like next week from the previews, Nikki is going to be taking matters into her own hands by leaking a magazine story about Diane's resurrection. Ooh, that's devilish. Hey, maybe Diane will have to go on Billy and Chelsea's podcast to clear her name. They mentioned that in their brainstorming session, that maybe we could do an interview with someone who's been accused of something online and how they clear their name. So maybe that'll be a tie-in there. An interview. Well, another tie-in. I think it's interesting. Nikki seems to think that Phyllis is going to back out of this whole plan at Marchetti at the last minute to save Summer. And I thought, well, that's a very strange, out-of-the-blue specific warning right after Billy told Phyllis that whatever she's planning, she needs to think twice about it because it could have consequences for Summer. Well, everybody seems to be so worried about Summer, and I think that Summer is holding her own pretty well here with Phyllis and with Diane. Diane knows that Phyllis is coming for her. I mean, the moment that Kyle told Diane that Summer had offered Phyllis the job at Marchetti, I mean, Diane's whole demeanor changed. She went from being the cool, calm, collected version of Diane that we've completely seen the whole time that she's been around, cool, calm, collected, to the second she found out Phyllis was hired, she freaked out. She became like a totally different demeanor. I mean, Kyle told Diane that he's given her the same warning that Summer's given to Phyllis, that they both need to play no games here, or they're both gone. They're both going to be out on their rear ends. But, I mean, all that really means is a game of cat and mouse. I mean, Diane knows that Phyllis is out to get her, and Phyllis just has to be extra, extra careful about it because, I mean, ultimately, if the plan goes haywire, it's not going to blow up on Summer. It's going to blow up on Phyllis herself. If she betrays Summer's trust in giving her this fabulous Queen of Marchetti home furnishings job, then Summer is never going to speak to her again. Are you guys getting a huge kick out of GPS Tessa, or GPS, as I like to call her? Because I sure am. I'm really loving it. I think that all of Tessa's scenes this week were really fun and really funny. I think Kate Fairbanks is freaking killing it. And it's really funny to watch everyone else around her too. These have been really good scenes. I like seeing Kyle and Mariah and everybody just also kind of reacting to the absurdity that she is having to talk with her phone. She's Robo Tessa. But she's pulling it off. Oh. Well, this week week, Mariah had the idea that maybe to pass the time during Tessa's recovery, why not see if Kyle will give Tessa a job at Marchetti? It would give Tessa something positive to focus on, and it would give Kyle and Summer and Marchetti this rising star to be associated with their brand. It would really be a true win-win for everyone. So now the reason for Tessa's health crisis has come into full view. We are seeing it. Y&R wanted to find a better way to incorporate Tessa into the community of the show by having her work with everyone else. I mean, not that anyone here does any real work at all. All they do is go out to eat and then talk about work, but okay. I think that this is a fantastic idea. On Friday, Kyle and Summer revealed that they are envisioning Tessa as being a model, like a print model for Marchetti. So it's perfect. Even if Tessa's not able to, she wouldn't have to speak to do the job, but when she can speak and sing again, she can still have the ability to work that modeling job part-time, and we can still see her participating at the new companies. I just think this is so smart on Y&R's part. Tessa is beautiful and alluring, and she deserves to be in front of the camera. Maybe we could get some really cool photo shoots out of it. And I think this also creates a really good excuse for Tessa to make some friends in town, even if it is just with a part-time job. And she'll be working with Mariah too. I actually kind of think that having Tessa go to work at Newman Media might have been a better fit, since she already kind of had that friendship with Sally that seemed like it was going to go somewhere, but then it didn't. But who knows? Maybe with Tessa now on the modeling business, on the market for modeling and business gigs, maybe it will open up a bidding war for her talents. Comic book movies! Yeah! That's the hot new ticket. Just like with podcasts, I can't help but think that Y&R is catching on a little late with that trend. Yes, that's what all the kids are talking about these days. Comic book movies. Good idea. Oh, that was Chloe's idea anyway. All business. Chloe, all business, all the time, while Sally drifts away, dreaming of Adam. Then she comes up for air and decides that they need to write a story for Newman Media about Ashlyn's death. But they can write the story so that it spins things from the Newman perspective, and then they only publish it if they have to. Yeah, that worked out really good for Chancecom. Didn't Billy write a draft story about something or other, and then Adam hacked into the servers and released it? Isn't that how Billy lost his last CEO job? Ooh, Sally, be careful. Sally girl, be careful. She's skating on thin ice in a couple of different ways. Oh, Adam came to her office this week looking for info on the Locke story, and she loved having that little bit of power over him in that moment. She was teasing him and taunting him in the sexiest of ways. And he deserved every bit of it. He actually offered her money in exchange for what she knew about the Locke investigation. I thought that was just very gauche. Like, money? Really? Please. Sally Spectra has got CEO money now. She doesn't need a payoff. So Adam came up with the idea of instead doing her a favor in exchange for the information about Locke. I was kind of hoping it might be a sexy favor, but I don't know, maybe he doesn't deserve that at this point. All Sally seems to want is for Adam to admit what she already knows, that he still loves her, he never stopped loving her, and he just made this totally weird and cruel decision to end things with a lie. I mean, she's looking for closure, and I don't know, it kind of looked like Adam was going to give it to her until Chloe walked in and interrupted them and sent Adam to the principal's office. The way she always does. It must be very hard for Chloe that all of her girlfriends love Adam. What I want to know is, when is Chloe going to admit that she loves Adam and that all this disapproval and nagging is just rooted from a place of deep-seated, suppressed desire? Some people just need a healthy dose of chaos in their lives. That was last week's Who Said It quote. The sayer was Nick. He was talking to Sally about Adam jerking her around. Some people just need to have a healthy dose of chaos in their lives. Yeah. Well, you guys guessed that. Henry, Sam, Brittany, Daisy, Ron, Deedles, and Kamna. It was Nick. But can you guess this one? I thought this was a nice little line, and it's very true. If you don't laugh, you cry. It is kind of true, right? What do you think? If you don't laugh, you cry. Who said it? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com, type in your guess, and if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Some people just need a healthy dose of chaos in their lives. That was last week's Who Said It quote. The sayer was Nick. He was talking to Sally about Adam jerking her around. Some people just need to have a healthy dose of chaos in their lives. Yeah. Well, you guys guessed that. Henry, Sam, Brittany, Daisy, Ron, Deedles, and Kamna. It was Nick. But can you guess this one? I thought this was a nice little line, and it's very true. If you don't laugh, you cry. It is kind of true, right? What do you think? If you don't laugh, you cry. Who said it? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com, type in your guess, and if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Okay, we've got some good comments this week, starting with Diana, who says, if Adam admits he still loves Sally and only broke up with her so that she could keep her job, how will Sally know if he's being truthful or not? He may just be telling her what she wants to hear so that he may find out the dirt regarding Ashlyn's death. She's also risking losing her job as she doesn't know what Adam will do with this information and if Victoria and Nick will find out what she did. It would be extremely foolish of Sally to reveal anything to Adam. She's clearly thinking with her heart and not her head. Yeah, like I said, she's on thin ice. Number one, even thinking about writing an article. I mean, Victor warned her this week, and it ended it on an interesting note. He said to her, he was plying her a little bit, and she said, was that a compliment or a warning? And then he just smiled and walked out. Well, girl, it's a compliment and a warning, and probably more on the warning side. So it's crazy that she's even thinking about writing that story, and it's crazy that she's considering giving Adam any information. She did tell Chloe that she was not going to give him the real information. She was just going to feed him something. So, I mean, I guess that would be the only way out of it, but I don't know. Either way you slice it, I think you're right. She's thinking with her heart, not her head. And ultimately, Sally was willing to give up that CEO job. So as much as she likes it, I think she is willing to lose it, especially if it gets her back with Adam. Tina says, I really thought Adam cared about Sally, but the longer this goes on with him not backing down at all, I'm beginning to think there is more truth to the things he told her when he broke it off than the theory that he did it to save her job. The fact that right after Jack made the offer to work at Jabot, he ran straight to Sharon, not Sally, that was very telling. Yeah, I kind of like the idea if we're headed back to a Sharon, Nick, Adam triangle, honestly. I mean, I think that would work for me. So I didn't think of it that way, but like you said, as time has gone on, it is kind of like, well, maybe he doesn't really want Sally, and maybe he will admit that he did her wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a reunion. Diana also says, we don't see Adam missing Sally the way that Sally does. We see her thinking of him all the time, and we've only had one scene where Adam is thinking about Sally. That says a lot. I never thought about that, but that is 100% true. T. Nicole says, Sally got dumped by Adam one day ago in soap time, and Chloe's acting like she should be over that relationship. Sally should go through a grieving process for that relationship. If Chloe keeps telling Sally to push down the feelings, they will boil up eventually. Yeah, and that's the exact same position Chloe was in with Chelsea. It was constantly, no, forget about Adam, and that just made Chelsea want him more, I think. And that's exactly what's going to end up happening with Sally, too. Oh, Ellen says, does Sally know that Chloe ran over Adam with her car, blew him up in a cabin, and shot him point blank in the chest with a revolver? Maybe Adam is not the horrible person in this equation, and Sally should tell Chloe to back off. Oh, I love that. I mean, Adam made a horrible mistake, on the night of Delia's death, but I mean, Chloe ran over Adam with her car, blew him up in a cabin, and shot him point blank in the chest with a revolver. Sounds like love to me. Oh, boy. I love soaps. The only thing that can cap that off is if they sleep together. Darn it. Oh, Sue W. mentions about Chelsea snarking it up to Sally about Sally's breakup with Adam. This sets up the perfect boomerang ha-ha when Sally hooks up with Nick and or gets back together with Adam. Oh, yeah. What'd you guys think about that little scene? Oh, Chelsea could not help herself. She said, oh, is that Sally at the bar? And she just sauntered right over there and said, I felt so bad for you. I mean, the way she said it, it was so wrong. I felt so bad for you when Adam broke up with you. You must be so embarrassed. I mean, that was just nasty. And then she just, took her little purse and just situated herself down into the chair by Billy. Said she had a lunch date. I think she said something too, like, I have to go. I have someone waiting for me. So you could really see where Chelsea's head was in that scene. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sue. Kamna says, every time Chelsea comes on screen, I feel like they should play the song Man Eater. Move over, Phyllis. There may be an even bigger train wreck than you in Genoa City. Oh, but Chelsea's just not that person anymore. She's changed. Diana says, I look forward to the Chelsea-Johnny storyline and Chelsea-Billy. I love seeing Chelsea and Billy together. They have great on-screen chemistry together. I really feel the same way, and I didn't think I was going to. As soon as Billy offered Chelsea the gig of doing the podcast with him, I was like, meh, blah. But, I mean, by the time that they had their first session together, I was sold. I do think the chemistry is really good, and I'm excited about the new storyline that could pop up here with Johnny. Henry says, I hope that Adam accepts Jack's job offer. His Harvard degree needs to be put to good use. I wish him much success, and this would really knock Billy from his high horse. Yeah, I'm excited about this too, about Adam working at Jabot, driving Billy nuts. It's going to be so good. And it also means that Adam's essentially effectively in charge of everyone else there. It puts Adam in the top slot ahead of in charge of everybody at Jabot and everybody at Marchetti. Whoa. And I love the scene between with Billy informing Phyllis that was going to be the case, and that really jogged it into perspective for me that, wow, Adam's going to have a lot of power if he takes this job, and I hope he does. Well, Gary says, I don't especially want to see Adam being the one to bring Victor down. Is he even allowed to work alongside Chancellor on a case? Adam is so much more interesting and complex as an outsider within the Newman circle than a complete villain to all of them, as he's been set up to be so many times before. That dynamic is very tired, not to mention one note. Y&R, please don't take Adam down another path that destroys his mental health in another Adam versus his family go-around. Yeah, I agree with you, actually. I think that the idea of Adam working at Jabot is so much more exciting than the idea of Adam going on the inside to try to bring down Victor Newman. Tina says Victor needs to stop hiring smokers on his security team. Too much DNA evidence. Yes, I didn't even think of that. But they could lift DNA from the cigarette butt. Oh, I didn't think of that. Well, Daisy says no matter what Adam says to Chance, there's no factual evidence to prove that Victor did anything. It's all speculation and conjecture. And if Adam claims someone told him what happened to Ashland, it's hearsay. However, would Adam tell Chance what he was told to help his father go to jail or to protect him? Oh, now that I didn't think of, Daisy. That what if... Well, first of all, anything Adam finds out, unless I guess he records it, would be conjecture. But more importantly, would Adam get the information? I mean, I'm totally assumed he would do it to bring Victor down, but this is a great point that maybe he would protect him. But it would just be another scenario of like, well, Adam saved the day and protected the family and everybody still hates him. So it's kind of like, well, then we're just back to the same old thing. The new thing at Jabot, that's what I can't wait for. But great point. Great point. Diana says, it doesn't seem realistic that Victoria is this well-known, rich and powerful business mogul that doesn't have a security camera outside of her home. If she did, Chance would be looking at the evidence and would see what took place when Victoria and Nick left the house. It also doesn't make sense that Nick had to save Victoria from being hurt by Ashland when Victor's security team was apparently watching Victoria the entire time. Why would they not have barged into the home and saved her from Ashland? Victoria keeps saying that if Nick hadn't been there, Ashland would have killed her. Well, this is a big flaw in the storyline. Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that either. Yeah, I mean, if the security team was there and that was the whole point and they were watching everything, why didn't they save her from Ashland? And where's the security footage around the house? Does that have anything to do with Kevin barging in the preview saying he's got something to show Chance? Maybe? I don't know. Well, Daisy, this is a great theory, says, did it ever occur to Chance that Ashland told his security team to remove any footage of him around Victoria's house before he went inside? Ashland was methodical. He planned to hurt Victoria. If she didn't take him back, then he'd be the last person she saw, or so he planned. Removing any footage was a way for him not to be blamed for her death, but when Nick showed up, he made a quick getaway and crashed. Chance is not looking at Ashland's behavior, the things he knows has happened, particularly his treatment of Victoria. Yeah, I like the idea that maybe this was all part of Ashland's plan, and we're just looking at Victor, and then there's going to be a little switcheroo here at some point. Here's some comments from the Go Chance investigation crew. Gary says, Nick tells that Ashland was not a good person and started this chain of events when he went after Victoria and started terrorizing her. Ashland did not quite terrorize Victoria, and one needs to remember further back to it being Victoria who baited Ashland, claiming to forgive and love him and want to rebuild their life over and over again, only to cruelly pull the rug out from under him in her cold-blooded Newman way. Of course, he was furious and needed to confront the little woman. Chance, understand that Victoria herself is not a good person as you go about in your good works. As with the JT case, someone who can self-righteously look you in the eye and lie to your face with her self-delusion. Continue to keep your head down with your eye on the prize, Chancellor, for you are all we have now. And Ellen says, yes, they keep repeating the Victoria the innocent victim narrative over and over. So that's all anyone will remember. But that's not what happened. Yeah, I mean, it's not the same as the situation with JT. Ashland wasn't exactly terrorizing her. And the one thing I will say, I'll add here too about Victoria, is that we saw so much hesitation from her about whether or not to get back together with Ashland, and now he's dead. I mean, she thought this was a great love of her life, and you know, she turned around and she stole all his money and lured him into that and everything, but we've not even had one moment of her mourning him in any way, and I think a little bit of that would be natural. I would like to see Victoria going through a more natural process of, yeah, we had a complicated relationship, but I mean, he's dead and I didn't want him dead. Instead, it's all, he's a horrible person and we're not going to shed any tears for him. Sherrod says, it's beginning to annoy me, this big lie of Victoria being a victim. It's not even remotely true. Victoria was actually the abuser, mentally of course, messing with Ashland's heart and head. Oh, that's interesting. So Victoria was actually the mental abuser here, not Ashland. Well, he did fake his cancer, though. He did fake cancer. I think that's pretty bad. Maybe everybody got as good as they, gave as good as they got here. I don't know. Well, Daisy says, if Victor has Ashland holed up somewhere, then it makes sense he'd tell Nick that he moved Ashland's body because he didn't want anyone to know Ashland's still alive. But if he or Nick are close to going to prison, then Victor could release Ashland where the police would find him, negating Chance's belief that Victor moved the dead body. In the end, Victor will win. But will Chance lose everything for going after Victor Newman? I think so. I can't imagine he'd gain respect for targeting someone for a death that never happened. Oh, I love that. What if Victor's got Ashland holed up somewhere? That is genius. That would be so good. And then, I mean, I feel like the door's open for Robert Newman to come back, but I mean, they certainly can't press charges against Victor for a death that never happened. So good. Well, let's switch gears here a little bit. Keisha says, I just realized something about Nate. Pretty boy was the Imani in Devon and Elena's relationship. I think Elena is starting to realize how you get him will be how you lose him. I'm starting to think she's better off without him. Ooh. And Victoria says, Nate, another rookie mistake. You offered a large amount of money without checking with your CEO. From the previews, it looks like Devon blows a gasket. Did you even think about what this could mean for Elena? Or are your thoughts just on Imani? Oh, I never thought about that being the reason that Devon's hitting the roof. I mean, I guess it must have been a very substantial amount that Nate offered to Sally to buy Elena out of her contract. And maybe Devon does not like that at all, did not approve the purchase. I was surprised that, like, Sally turned down the money from Adam, but then she took the money from Nate this week. So as soon as Nate offered her the money, I thought, well, she doesn't need the money. I mean, we have already seen Sally turning down money this week, but then she apparently was so substantial that she took it. And maybe that's the reason why Y&R showed Sally looking at the napkin a couple of times. Oh, I love the old writing the number on a napkin, sliding it across the table. Nate must have just been watching movies and soap operas, and he got that move, and he said, "Oh, that's how it's done." Nate Nate got all of his COO training from watching movies. So that's why he went with the napkin across the table. T. Nicole says, I wish Imani could have been present when Nate and Elena asked Sally about the meeting and her having no idea about it. Nate might not even ask her about it because he already thinks this was a schedule mishap. And Nate, seriously, it should not be a surprise that Imani is flirting with you. When you met her, she was constantly commenting on how good your ties or clothes looked before you ever formed a friendship. It was obvious flirting before Imani even knew about Elena. Yeah, I mean, that Nate he's so oblivious that it's ridiculous in a lot of ways. But I have to note that the oblivious guy is kind of a soap opera staple. I mean, look at Liam on The Bold and the Beautiful, or I mean, there's a million other examples I can think of where it's like the two girls are fighting over him, and he's in the middle, like totally unaware that the girls are scheming to get him. And the same thing works for the women too. But yeah, the oblivious guy, the oblivious hunk, a soap opera staple. Well, Sherrod says, well, if Tessa decides to take Kyle and Summer up on their offer, cough, cough, she will actually have something in common with Sharon, who was a spokesmodel back in the day for Jabot. This will maybe give them something to bond over and possibly grow closer. Hashtag Taryn. Yeah, that's a really good connection. I forgot about Sharon being a spokesmodel for Jabot. Isn't that why she was in Africa with Drusilla and Phyllis when Drusilla fell off the cliff? Yeah, that was a while ago, but I do remember that. Now, the other thing I was thinking, Sherrod, is Tessa being a model. Everybody's kind of fawning over that picture of Tessa that was on her album cover. Didn't Noah take that picture? And isn't Noah a photographer? Are Kyle and Summer going to hire Noah to be Tessa's photographer? And is that going to cause a more of a stir? Or are we totally moved beyond that? I don't know. Ambreen says, I want to see a runway show or an ad campaign complete with a photographer. I'm sure that could be a story. I want the characters to actually do something, like working rather than talk. I liked when they had the cover shoots for the Restless Style magazine. They've been talking about fashion for a year now at least. Let's see it. Yeah. Well, speaking of fashion, Sue W. says, Abby, in the lilac ruched skimpy dress, shirt, fabric remnant bathroom rug, whatever it was, looking like any girl USA back in her homecoming days. Not a good look then or now. Soapy wardrobe. Gotta love the in-your-face nod to unrealistic reality. God, the dress was so bad. I was thinking that too, because it just didn't... It looked uncomfortable, but the fact that you've characterized it as homecoming dress is nail on the head. Abby's fashion, though, is always notable, whether it's good or bad. She wears everything that she wears. I was not a particular fan of that outfit, but Sue W. also says, okay, Abby, you totally redeemed that schmaltzy fashion faux pas with the cute striped dress that you wore at Chancellor Park. Love it. Oh, yeah. I love navy and white for summer. I thought that dress was fresh. She looked like she belonged on Jabot. Yachting on Jabot. Oh, well, let's talk about last week's poll question. I asked you guys how you feel about the Destroy Diane Club. Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Well, 58% of you guys gave it a big old thumbs down. 42% voted up. Henry voted thumbs down, saying, Diane is, in my opinion, very sincere with all of her efforts to make amends for all of the chaos she caused years ago. I hope that the Destroy Diane Club falls flat on its face. Henry, that means that you've been had. Diane is playing you. Don't trust her. You believe that she's sincere about her efforts to make amends. Oh, next thing you know, she's going to be tricking you into a marriage. That's what she does. She tricks you. She makes you think she's all humble and you should trust her, and then she flips it on ya. Don't make that mistake, Henry. Marianne V voted thumbs down, saying, I think all the ladies have their own issues and should stop trying to bring Diane down. They're the ones that will lose. Kyle and Jack will protect Diane, and Summer will be very upset with Phyllis using Marchetti to do it. Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to go. Kyle and whatever goes down, it is going to blow back on Phyllis, because Kyle and Jack are going to protect Diane, and Summer is going to be furious with Phyllis. Oh, here's the voice of reason. Tony voted thumbs up for the Destroy Diane Club, saying, come on, fans. These plots for revenge and destruction are what soaps are made of. I've said it for too long. Y&R has been too sappy/happy. Dastardly deeds are a thing of the past, and I vote to bring them back. Jack would never leave Victor laying on the floor these days. Paul and Michael would never kidnap Sheila in a cellar. Phyllis would never abduct Michael. Michael would never harass Christine. Some of those were awful, but ladies, not usually buddies, plotting to get Diane out of town, perfect. Can I just say, amen, Tony? I gotta say, I voted thumbs up just purely for the, I like the drama. Is it nice? No, but it's certainly not as bad as some of the other things that you've mentioned. Lara voted thumbs up for the Destroy Diane Club, saying, I wish I could have voted it depends. I really love the concept of Ashley and Phyllis putting their considerable skills together in spite of their history. I'd also like this story to roll over a longish period of time, perhaps a few months, and include some complex, suspenseful maneuvers. I'm hoping that Diane's downfall will arrive as a result of her own dishonesty rather than something that is falsely attributed to her. Much more satisfying that way. What I don't want is for Phyllis to flame out right away. If only she could take some deep breaths and play the long game. I love that woman. It would be better if we saw Diane go down for something that she did to herself. But I'm along for the ride either way. Victoria says, I love the character Diane. She has so many catchphrases. She reminds me of Mattel's Chatty Cathy doll. When you pull her string, she might say, good to know. I won't be a problem. And the most popular choice, I know I have a long way to go to make up for the truly horrible things I have done. Diane is so great, and that is such a great assessment. Chatty Cathy, Chatty Diane. She is adding Diane to the show is the best thing that Y&R has done in 2022, hands down. Great comment. Well, Victoria says Jack and Tracy were so funny today. Whoever set up this scene must have loved old B movies. It was comical watching them yell from the seating at the park. I was waiting for the soccer ball to hit Jack or Tracy in the face. Cut! It's a wrap! That would have been great if the soccer ball rolled into the scene at least. That'd have been funny. Diana says, it's amazing how everything can be seen from the same spot in Chancellor Park. The duck pond, the soccer field, the ice cream vendor, the sandbox, you name it, it's right there. Harrison is a little boy, and all the adults that bring him to the park are 1,000,000 miles away from where he is. Someone should call the authorities. This is negligence. At least Ashland was always close by when he illegally spent time with Harrison. Oh, that is just so genius, Diana. I love that. I never really fully thought of it like as the full view. I mean, imagine, we see that spot so often, but imagine you're standing in that spot looking out at all the things, and how does the perspective even work with all that? How do you cram all that goodness right in there to that spot? Chancellor Park is a real hip happening hopping place, my goodness. And you can have a picnic right there in the middle of that spot too. There would be like a whole, if you tried to have a romantic picnic in the middle of that park, there would be a whole soccer team walking right through your picnic. Oh. Naomi says, Jack and Tracy were peering around on tiptoe as if the tot was a half a mile away. A kid with those connections could be snatched up for ransom before Jack could loosen his tie and take off on the run to save him. Gosh, that was a fun scene. For a change of pace, though, Jack actually did not wear a tie to Harrison's game. He wore the button up, but he unbuttoned the top button and skipped the tie. No tie, one button from the collar. That is Jack Abbott's definition of casual. Cut. That's a wrap. You guys are too funny. Wow, great comments this week. Go to yrchat.com. Keep them coming. I love hearing from you guys. And I'll be back next week to see who's got a new job. I saw someone comment at the website, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but saying Y&R's idea of mixing things up is to just give everybody a different job. Yeah, that does describe it pretty well right now. So we'll come back next week and find out what everyone's job is. Does Tessa take the modeling job? Does Adam take the co-CEO job at Jabot? Oh, will we ever know? Will we ever see an office? No. They do a lot of work just on the rooftop by the pool. It's great. I want that job. Well, I love you guys. I hope you have a really good week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.